Imprisoned Show is what I know. They bring in all these boys and girls all around the whole wide world. Imprisoned Show is what I know, but here we go. Whoa, Imprisoned Show is what I know. They took me from my home, I can't get back to my family. I wanna hold just to get her back. Oh, I can't do this no more. It's the Imprisoned Show. Whoa, I've been lost.
From Malaysia. Thank you so much for coming to Imprisoned Show.
Pleasure to be here.
And sitting to my right is Anne Nguyen from Vietnam. Thank you for coming here today. We are so grateful that you could make it.
Very, very nice to be here with you tonight.
Thanks. And then we also have Sandhya Sitola from Nepal. Thanks for coming.
Pleasure.
So tonight, we would like you to tell us what has been happening in your countries in regards to human trafficking and what you have been doing so far. Liva, you are the hotline person in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So what is your typical day like?
Okay, so I manage anti-human trafficking hotline in my organization in Malaysia. The organization is called Tenaga Nita, and a typical day with the hotline is, it could be from 0 calls that I receive a day to about 25 calls a day.
Oh.
And typically the people who call are usually neighbors who have seen domestic workers getting abused, who have heard cryings, who have heard screamings, and neighbors who have seen suspicious activities. For example, at 2 in the morning, when they see a group of 15 girls wearing very short skirts and just a bra walking out of the house. So they are suspicious that maybe sex trafficking is going on. So they call us, they are our informants. And what I do when I get these tips is that I go straight to the police station, I make a police report and say that I have got these tips. And what happens is the police goes with me to the homes of where the suspicious activities are. So we go in, but the police wait outside. So we go in and we intervene as an organization. I intervene and I speak to the girls or to the particular girl, and I speak to her privately, and if I sense that there's something suspicious going on, I bring her out.
So that means your job is more than just answering the phone calls.
Yeah, it is
You're
much
also
more
going
than that.
out to rescue victims.
Yeah.
And is it just sex trafficking that you see, or is there labor or other forms of trafficking?
It's actually predominantly labor trafficking in Malaysia, but we do get calls for sex trafficking. But the sex trafficking ring has gotten so bad in Malaysia that what happens now is that the moment we get a tip, we call our police officers. We've got a few trusted police officers in Malaysia. They are quite high ranked in the system. So they go and they do the rescues just so that we are safe and we don't get hurt in the process.
By the traffickers.
Yeah. But with labor trafficking, we go in personally and do the rescues, be it for men or women.
Okay, and this kind of labor, is it labor where only one victim is involved or many victims are involved?
Sometimes it is one victim, sometimes there are more than one. But usually it's domestic workers, so it's one victim, usually.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
working in somebody's home.
Yeah, usually.
Oh, thank you. We come right back to you, but in Vietnam, what are you people doing about human trafficking? What is the rate of human trafficking in that country?
It's really hard to tell about the rate of human trafficking because there's no proper research or surveys. But from my observations over the years working on the issues of human trafficking, there's a lot of more cases reported, more and more cases traffickers arrested, and more cases prosecuted. We have seen not just sex trafficking as we normally think of, there's cases of labor exploitation, people trafficked for forced marriage, and recently for the organs.
Whoa. So what kind of organs prominent for trafficking in Vietnam?
For the cases that known to us, kidney is the main organ that people traffic for.
So is Nepal one of those organ trafficking tourism country?
Nepal is pretty far from Vietnam, but Vietnamese trafficked mainly to China.
Yes, Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah, to China for kidney transplant.
And what is your own organization doing in terms of advocacy and awareness?
As a project of the United Nations, we
Yes.
work closely with the government of Vietnam to adopt a legislation and policy that consistent with the international standards, and also cooperation with other countries and region to address both as destination and as a source.
You happen to also be working specifically on labor trafficking. So do you see more labor trafficking or a growing trend of labor trafficking?
As a normal trend, we see more cases of sex trafficking reported, but when you have a close look in the issues of labor trafficking, you can see more and more cases reported. And we are trying to sensitize the government agencies on the issues of labor trafficking to ensure that all the forms of trafficking are addressed.
Okay. Apart from working with the government over there, what is the United Nations doing as a representative? Do you work also with community members?
We don't work directly with the grassroots organizations, but we provide grant to the NGOs who work directly with the victims or with the populations, the vulnerable population in the communities.
Thank you. And Sandhya, Nepal has been accused of lagging behind in terms of combating human trafficking. Why is that? You know, is it as a result of the culture or ethnicity or tradition? What would you say could be responsible for that? Or could it even be lack of funding?
No, actually, I want to say is like recently we have a U.S. Department report, and it doesn't say that we are lacking behind. It says that we have a strong law. The law is really very, very strong regarding trafficking, and we have a separate legislation for that. But the thing that is lacking is the procedural things, and the court system is very, very, like it is very hard to get justice within a limited time. So it is really a problem for victim to go to the court and take the justice.
So like even though the government is trying to do something, the Justice Department is not working as much as they should?
Because in our country we have a political instability nowadays. We didn't have a constitution, no parliament running on. So a lot of the judges, there is no seat in the judges, like there are no placement of judges. In Supreme Court, we want is over 200 judges, but the placement is only for 6 judges. There are only 6 judges working, so the caseload is very high for that, so there is a lagging of cases. That's the main issue. And the trafficking case is not taken so seriously because they think that it is the issue of women and everything, so they are not so sensitive regarding that.
Is it because women are always like in the background in the country as a result of the culture, or why is that?
Yeah, because we are really a very patriarchal society, and the women are really very dominated by the male members of the society, and there is no enough representation of women in every sort of like working or in job or anything, so they doesn't have enough voice, so that is also a reason behind that.
So what kind of trafficking would you say it's being reported most in your country? Is it labor, organ, or sex?
Previously it was only sex, but nowadays like we have a lot of cases regarding labor. We have a lot of labor exploitation in Malaysia, and it is the one of the country like where Nepalese are very vulnerable in Malaysia. So we have a lot of trend of people going for foreign migration, and they have been exploited in the destination country. There are a lot of people. Every year we have is 200 million people who go for foreign employment, and out of them like 60 to 70% are being exploited. So it is really very huge.
So what are you people doing over there to educate people about going out for foreign employment, which could be, one form of having them trafficked in those countries?
Yeah, basically people like all the stakeholders were not aware of the link between trafficking and the foreign employment, but nowadays like every day we receive 2 to 3 dead body from the destination country, and now the government is very proactive, and we have lot of campaign and awareness things going on. And recently a government has started a pre-departure orientation training to each and every migrant worker who are going for abroad. So they will just give them counseling, and the organization like us, like NGO, they are also giving our pre-departure orientation training.
Yes, you are a trainer, right? So you train different caliber of people. Who are these people you train?
We have 3 different stakeholders. First, we have a direct connection with police academy, because the police academy doesn't have the human rights expert, and they doesn't have the people directly working for human trafficking, so they hire people from other NGOs and other people. So we go to the academy and we talk about them about the issues of human rights and human trafficking. The second is we have a MOU signed with Office of Attorney General. So we go there and talk to the public prosecutors about the laws and how to implement that in a friendly manner. And the third is civil society.
Thank you so much. We are going to be right back with our guest. We'll need to take a break. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emily Wise. Please join Bukola in the fight against human trafficking by partnering with the Anyton Story. Their mission is to advocate for victims and empower survivors of human trafficking. For more information on that, you can go to or email info@anyton.org. Once a month, we have the Empowerment Circle. You can find more about the Empowerment Circle on our website. Thank you for your time.
Imprisoned Show.
Well, victims and survivors out there, we need you to go on Imprisoned Show website, imprisonshow.com, to nominate your advocate for the Advocate Excellence Award. And your advocate could be from anywhere in the world. Today, you see us interviewing guests from outside of the United States. So please, we encourage you to nominate your advocate for the Advocate Excellence Award. We want to commend those who are working in the background in rescuing victims of human trafficking. Thank you for sticking around. If you are just tuning in, this is Imprisoned Show, a show set out to educate the public about human trafficking. And tonight, we have the Hubert Humphrey Fellows from the University of Minnesota, but they have come from different countries around the world. So back to Liva, who is from Malaysia.
Yes.
In Malaysia, you have children with no states. Can you tell us about this and how those children are vulnerable to human trafficking?
Actually, we did a fact-finding mission a couple of years ago, and we found that in that short span of time, we found 100,000 children who are left stateless. Now, this was a problem because at one point, Malaysia needed foreign workers for their plantations, so they brought in Filipinos and Indonesians to work. But when they realized that there was a surplus of workers, and these workers who had been staying for about 20 to 30 years were then a problem because they got married, they had their own children in Malaysia. And what were we going to do with the children? Because the children are born in Malaysia, they're brought up in Malaysia, but they're not provided citizenship because their parents are not recognized as Malaysians.
And the fact that they were born in that country, doesn't that give them the right to citizenship in that country?
No, unfortunately not. So these children remain stateless, and there was a time when the Malaysian government tried to deport them back to Philippines and Indonesia, but the Filipino and Indonesian government said, no, these are not our children. What is the proof that they are our children? No, we don't want them. So they were sent back to Malaysia. So then Malaysia is saying, no, we don't want these children. And because these children don't have the state ID, they cannot go to school as well.
What about their parents?
What about their parents?
Yes.
The parents don't have Malaysian IDs, and the parents, they've left Philippines, they've left Indonesia for about 20 to 30 years, so they are more Malaysian than they are Filipino or Indonesian.
Yes.
And most of them don't even have IDs. They were brought in and without passports, without any documentation. So there's no, if they claim that they are Filipino, there's no proof that they are Filipino, and there's no proof that they are Malaysian either. So the children end up suffering. They can't go to school, and because they can't go to school, they end up selling drugs, selling cigarettes. Children as young as 7 years old, 6 years old, they are forced to become prostitutes in Malaysia, and it's actually a horrendous problem. When we did our fact-finding mission, we asked one child, why is it that you are doing this?
Yes.
And he told us, if you can take me home and put a roof over my head, give me education, and just give me one meal a day, I will not want to be on the streets. It is not an easy life, and I just hate this life, but I have no choice.
So is there like a rescue home for those kind of children?
There are some NGOs that are providing shelter for them, but what we did was we found 100,000 children. There's no organization that can take all of them in, so that's a problem. And with regards to school, the Indonesian consulate has started informal schools for the Indonesian children, but it's informal. At the end of the day, they don't get a certificate, and so it's
because it's informal, they can't get a certificate,
Yeah.
and also they can't get a job.
an informal job. So they keep selling cigarettes, they sell liquor, alcohol, beer, and things like that. There's no choice. There's no formal employment for them, so to speak. So
Wow.
they keep getting exploited.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've got 3 generations now. So the first plantation workers, their children, and now their grandchildren are
So
having this
what
problem.
is the Malaysian government doing to stop this crisis?
Unfortunately, nothing is being done. But what happens is during election period, they give out identification cards, temporary identification
To
cards
those
to these parents so that they
Oh,
vote
to
for the
the-
government.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's just temporary. It will last for a year, and then they are
That's
again
it.
they again have a problem.
They can't renew until the next election.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, and many of these children become victims of human trafficking. How do you rescue them, or what is available to these children when they become victims? Is there any kind of even restitution from the government to those ones that have been trafficked, or no?
No, the government doesn't recognize them as trafficked children. They recognize them as criminals because they are in this country illegally. So no protection is awarded to them. But we do have local NGOs that we work with in this specific state, and they bring them in, they shelter them, they provide them with food, and they do the little that they can to help these children live a better life. But officially, in the government sense, nothing is being done, unfortunately.
Okay, I'll be right back with you. And the United Nations over there, what kind of initiatives do you guys sponsor to further enhance the anti-human trafficking efforts?
We have worked on a comprehensive anti-human trafficking program that addresses the prevention, the protection of victims, the prosecution, policy, and international cooperation. So there's various projects and initiatives to address the problems in different aspects.
Okay, and you said earlier that you also provide funding in forms of grants to local NGOs. So how are you ensuring quality with those NGOs and making sure that they're spending the money for what you expect them to spend the money for?
We actually developed a very concrete plan with those NGOs, and we provide very close monitoring evaluation plan to assure that those funds are implemented and spent in a concrete way. Yeah.
So do you go for site visits, or do they just come up with reports for you? How do you really evaluate this?
No, actually, for those NGOs that we provide funds, we develop the joint work plans. So we go to the field together, we conduct joint interviews, and we do the joint reports as well.
Is there any kind of ethnic, problem or cultural problem that is aiding human trafficking in Vietnam?
Well, in terms of ethnic, we have a lot of ethnic groups, but it seems that the ethnic groups are not that vulnerable to human trafficking because quite often they live in the mountains, and the mountains they don't have access to good transportations or border gates. So to some extent, they are not that affected by human trafficking. But from my observations over the last 20 years, the safety net in the community and also in the extended families somehow have been broken and gone missing. So people lack support from the extended families and community when they are in need. So sometimes they have to take very risky decisions.
Whoa, so the risky decision will be to give their child away or to let them go or what?
Well, from in my work, I have observed a few families who, let's say, in need of money to pay for hospital fees for someone, and because they don't have the cash, because they work on the farm, so they have to basically sell their daughters into prostitution.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Whew. Anyway, I'll be back with you, Sandhya. In Nepal, there is the issue of babies and even fetuses being trafficked. Can you enlighten us more about that?
Yeah, basically babies are taken to India and other part for circus so that they can work in circus. And we have also found a lot of baby, like they have been like some of their eyes has been broken and hand has been broken, and they are put in a temple and other places where they can beg. So that is a very organized crime going on. A lot of the babies are missing every year, and they are taken to the border country in India. And now we have found that so some of the babies are also taken to China so that they can work for a cheap labor. So that is the problem. And some of the women are taken to the other countries for breastfeeding. And recently we have encountered one case where the women are taken to India so that their blood is being extracted for selling.
Whoa.
Yeah.
In the black market?
Yeah. Some specific blood categories.
And what categories are they looking for?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But they took and they sell the blood. It has been reported, and now there is an investigation going on for that. Because usually we have a concept that blood is for donation. We don't pay or we didn't receive any money. People used to give their blood by themselves, but now this is a new trend, and people are being taken to India just for taking their blood. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, thank you. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Can you believe they took all of them? All these kids, just for the wants and the needs. I pray for the souls. Imprisoned Show. Oh, oh, oh.
Hello, kids at home. I'm encouraging you to send in your flag for Kids Against Trafficking, because half of the victims being trafficked around the world are children. So parents, I'm calling on you to help your children to make the flag. We accept flag from kids from preschoolers to 17 years old. As long as you are not 18 years old yet, if you are 17 years old and 365 days, you can send us your flag. Or 17 years old and 364 days. Send us your flag to stand against human trafficking. Thank you for staying with us today. And if you are just tuning in, this is Imprisoned Show, a show set out to educate the public about human trafficking. And today I have guests who have traveled from other countries to talk to us about what they are doing about human trafficking. And they're also fellows of the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship at the University of Minnesota. So now I want to ask them what they are learning through this fellowship that they want to take back to their countries. So, Liva, this fellowship that you have come to, what are you going to take back home with you that you could implement in your fight against human trafficking in Malaysia?
There's a very great human trafficking model in Minneapolis. I see how closely the NGOs work with enforcement agencies, especially in the St. Paul area. And it's something that we don't really have in Malaysia. It's a model that we don't have. Every government agency works separately, as well as NGOs, we work separately. So this is actually a great learning from America, which I think if Malaysia could implement it, it would take us to very great heights.
Yeah, so like how you will first of all go to the police and talk to them, then you will go together. It will be better to have like a program where you are all connected. You don't even need to go to them, but they already know. You can just give them a call and they know what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. And and
Yes.
so what is it that you want to take back to, not just Vietnam, but your office with the United Nations to implement, to improve, on your human trafficking efforts?
During time here, the fellowship has exposed us to meeting a lot of different agencies and people. I have a lot of things to take back, but within your time frame, there's two things I would like to highlight here. The first thing is that no single agency or single country can address this problem. Everyone has a role. And from the experience I have learned here, that there's a lot of organizations, community groups, the church group, religious group have take actions. So everyone has a role, and people, as a counter trafficking agencies, we have the responsibility to educate the public that everyone has a role, everyone can take action. They can tell their family members, their friends about the problem and do something. And the second thing is we need to engage more with the private sectors, with the companies who providing not just funding but a lot of other support in kind, and also to make them more accountable for their corporate social responsibilities, but also we also need to educate the clients who are purchasing the products. On one hand, we want to have good quality and good price, but on the other hand, we need to make them understand that they're not supporting labor exploitation.
Thank you. And Sanya, what is it you would like to bring back to Nepal?
As being a lawyer, I have gone through a legislation of United States, and I really like the victim witness protection law that the US government has, and it's really very, very comprehensive and nice. It talk about different rights that victim will get and rehabilitation and other facilities. Yes. We don't have that specific laws in our country, so I want to go and talk about those things.
Thank you so much. I really thank you for coming here today to talk about what you people are doing in your country and what you have learned from here to take back to your country. You are really invaluable to us. And to our viewers at home, you can see, for those of you who are our viewers online, you can see that we're bringing people from around the world, and we want to thank you for being a fan out there, either on Facebook or following us on our websites.
Imprisoned Show.
Thank you for staying with us today. We are back, and now we have the students from St. Thomas with us in the studio. They have been working on a project with the Anyton story, and what they are planning to do is to help us, like I told you earlier, to have Imprisoned Show organized in a way that you will be having more views regularly. And I'm glad to have you all here tonight. with Rita. Rita is with the organization, and she's the.
I'm the sponsor, the project sponsor.
Thank you. And please, can we introduce this way? Thank you. And you.
My name is Alan.
Alan what?
Alan Deep.
Thank
and
you. Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah.
I'm Rita Apollo. I am a board member of the Anytime Story.
I'm Taylor McSparron, and I'm a student at St. Thomas with these guys.
Thank you.
And I'm Ashley Grady, and I'm also a student at St. Thomas.
Thanks. And I'm Erin Hartnett, and I also go to St. Thomas.
So I would like to thank you first of all for, doing this project for us. And I'm sure you viewers at home, you're also going to enjoy that we have these great students working to help us develop a program. And this class you are taking, what is it called?
We're in classes project management.
Okay.
And so we've been working with Rita here trying to develop a plan for the Anytime program.
Okay, and this is what college year?
This is my senior year.
Okay.
And I'm a senior too.
There you go.
Yep, a senior as well.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to ask Rita, how did you learn about this class, and how did any story got involved in all this?
Well, I was a part of the executive training with St. Thomas University, and I did a program there before, and my husband also did a project management under the executive training piece of it. And he learned that there was this project management class, which was also a service learning class, which gives students the opportunity to get involved with an actual project to get a sense of real world work, and also to help them better understand and get a feel for what project management is. So I learned that they were looking for sponsors. And so my husband, told me about it, and I was not really sure if the Anytime Story would be a good fit with it, because it's an undergraduate program, and I just wasn't sure. So I talked to the instructor, Dr. Owens, and he said it's a great fit, and to come up and come on the first day of class and tell the students about it and see if they will choose to be a part of the project. So that's what I did. I picked the Imprisoned Show because it's a very important key program of the Anytime Story that educate people on human trafficking. So that's what I did, and I'm glad because it's been going really well since then.
Thank you. And Alan, what interested you in choosing, because I learned that you all had to choose who you want to be your sponsor. So why did you choose Imprisoned Show?
I was interested about the topic of human trafficking, and it's something that I've learned about, but I've never really learned how I could help, help with the cause and help victims. And through this program, I've been able to learn ways of how to help people and, to help fight against human trafficking.
Thanks. And you, Taylor?
Well, part of it was definitely interested in working with the TV show and the social media and learning how to interact with a large audience. But definitely, like Alan said, I've heard about human trafficking. I don't know a whole lot about it, and it was something that kind of piqued my interest, so took a shot at it, and I'm glad it's paid off well. So.
Okay, good. And Ashley?
I was kind of similar to Taylor and Alan. I've heard a little bit about human trafficking, through some TV shows and movies, but I wanted to learn firsthand about it and kind of see the behind the scenes, and just simply raise awareness, and yeah.
Thanks. And Erin?
Yeah, kind of similar to what the other three have said, but it just seemed like Rita was really passionate about the topic, and I really wanted to be a part of a group that felt really passionate about the project they were doing, so I thought it would be a good fit.
During the process of working on these projects, what have you learned about human trafficking?
I didn't realize that it was so close to home, especially I've heard that Minnesota is a really big port, especially up north, for human trafficking, and I had no idea. I thought it was mostly in other countries or either out in California or some faraway land. So just realizing that it was so close to home made it very personal.
And Ashley, do you think working on a project like this in colleges is good for students' learning experience?
Oh yeah, I think, or for at least for me, this experience has been kind of probably the best experience I've had at St. Thomas, just because, you know, you can learn so much in a class without actually applying it, and this has helped so much at just kind of, you know, it's a real organization. We're actually impacting the organization, and the project is gonna go through. It's gonna make a difference, and so it's putting that, you know, into real life. It's skills that we can take into our future and apply it to new experiences.
Yes, thanks. And Taylor, can you give us some details about, you know, like the step-by-step of this project?
Oh yeah, so I mean basically throughout class he's presented us with different aspects of developing a whole plan, and so I mean us as a team have gone step by step, worked together to really collaborate and make the best project possible to help you guys move forward. So
Thanks. And Alan, right? Okay. So what was you just like everybody, you two said that you've learned about human trafficking before, but you didn't know it was so much. So what is it that you have learned in particular in terms of human trafficking that surprised you from what you already knew?
Kind of similar to what Aaron said. Definitely because it's been in Minnesota and it's in Minnesota, I never really realized it was a problem here. Usually when I think about human trafficking, I think about other countries like the Southern Asian countries or Middle East, and I never realized it was a problem here.
And Rita, working with students on this kind of program, so far, has it been beneficial?
Oh, definitely. One of the things I worried about that, you know, students might not be interested in the topic. You know, it's a very difficult topic for a lot of people to talk about because of some of the horrible crimes and things that happen with human trafficking. People tend to want to avoid it. But one of the things I did was to really talk about what was happening at home in Minnesota and how the numbers, give them some statistics and things like that. And also through the numbers demonstrated how educating people, you know, helps. It increases the reporting and it saves a lot of lives. And I think that sort of piqued their interest. It's been great because they really are committed to helping improve the Imprisoned Show, knowing that the Imprisoned Show rely a lot on volunteers and donations from viewers and people in the community. They're really coming up with some creative ideas on how we can create a plan that's going to benefit the show. So it's been great working with them. You know, they're young people. It's been fun. Lots of laughs. And I'm also, you know, I'm a student as well. So I'm also learning project management. And so I'm part of the team. I have to do my part of studying and you know, contributing to the plan.
Yes, we'll come back to that part of
Okay.
studying. So please don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Emily Wise. Please join Bukola in the fight against human trafficking by partnering with the Anyton Story. Their mission is to advocate for victims and empower survivors of human trafficking. For more information on that, you can go to or email info@anyton.org. Once a month, we have the Empowerment Circle. You can find more about the Empowerment Circle on our website. Thank you for your time.
Imprisoned Show. Oh, oh, oh.
Welcome back. This is Imprisoned Show, a show set out to educate the public about human trafficking. And if you are just joining us, you are welcome to the show. Tonight, we have the students of St. Thomas in the studio who are working on developing a program for Imprisoned Show so that you can see Imprisoned Show more frequently at home or online. Thanks. And we're talking about Rita going back to school.
Yes, I serve as the sponsor of the project management class that we're
Yes.
doing. So what that means is I'm the person in between the students and the organization Anyton Story. And so I provide information that they're going to need to create the plan, which is to improve the operation of the Imprisoned Show, and hopefully have more episodes in next year and beyond.
Thanks. And what has been the most challenging thing for you guys working on this project?
Well, what
Because
I've
it's
noticed,
different.
yeah, this is like a very different project than I think any of us have done. And I think the most challenging part, at least what I've seen, is there are so many parts to the project, and it can be easy to kind of fall behind. But I think we've done a good job at planning and setting aside, you know, a little bit of time each week to do each part so that we don't fall behind. And I think that's been the hardest part too. Is there are 6 of us in the group, and it's kind of hard to find that time where all 6 of us are available and we can.
Yes, that reminds me, we are missing one person today.
Yeah.
And his name is Rami. He's part of the team, but he couldn't make it with us tonight. And one of the things that Ashley was talking about, the different pieces to the project, we have to do a stakeholder. We have a lot of templates that we have to create. So we look at the stakeholder analysis of all of the stakeholders of the Imprisoned Show. We did a feasibility study. We did.
Risk analysis.
Remind me, guys, huh?
Risk analysis.
The risk analysis we did,
Scope.
the scope of the project. So there's a lot of, you know, technical type thing that, you know, it's a great project. We have fun with it, but it's also schoolwork, and we need to meet certain requirements. So having to keep up with their studies and work on this project is kind of like an additional thing for them to do. So it's been really challenging, but they've been up to the challenge.
Thanks. And aside from the fact that you have been able to overcome the challenges, now you are getting close to the end of the semester. Are you close to like finishing the project, or is it already done and you're ready for presentation?
We're very close to done. We've got a little bit left to do, but there's still parts that he's presenting to us as well, so it's not necessarily possible to be finished, I guess, at this point. So.
Wow. How much longer do you have?
I think about a week or
About
so.
a week.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's coming up fast.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
and very typical of, you know, school and college. That last week, we're gonna
Yes.
be running like crazy. Trying to,
Do you guys have like the stress-free week after the finals in your school?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It'll feel good when finals are done. For sure.
Okay, aside from, because you all at your senior levels, and at your senior level you are facing something like this, a project on human trafficking. Would you say that this should be introduced to freshmen in college or even to like high school students? Or what would you think?
I would definitely say so. I know from where I grew up in Wisconsin, it was almost never mentioned, maybe once in a social problems class, but otherwise pretty much no mention of it. And I feel like a problem that's this prevalent should be mentioned, at least somewhere at some point.
And if a class is created specifically for human trafficking, would it be a choice class for students to go to?
I think
Would you
we
think so?
have a human diversity credit requirement at St.
Okay.
Thomas, and so I think that would be a good option to kind of provide that class as an option for that.
Okay.
I think that would be a really interesting class, and I think a lot of people would just maybe from hearing like the name of the class and maybe just a short blurb about it, they would be very interested because it is new and a lot of people don't know about it.
Yes. And I was at your school a few weeks ago, I think about 3 weeks ago. Oh, did you know that?
No.
No.
I should have shared it.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I was at Women in Religions class, something like that.
Okay,
Yes, with Dr. Sherry
Okay.
Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Do you know her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was in a class some weeks ago, and she wanted the student to learn about human trafficking. So would you say that human trafficking, even if it's not offered as a subject by itself, it could be like included in other related subjects in the classes, like women's studies classes? Or
Absolutely. I think it could definitely be at least a portion of a class or a section to be learned about. It is new and very prevalent in our society, so it's something we should all be aware of.
Thank you so much. And Rita, what would you like to say?
Well, I think while we've been working on this project, we've really been able to peel back the layers of the show. You know, I had not really thought about the Imprisoned Show in depth. You know, so we have really seen some things that needs to be fixed. You know, for example, the Imprisoned Show really depend on a lot of volunteer time.
Yes.
And that's been a struggle, and it continues to be a struggle. So we're, part of our plan is really coming up maybe with a list of some colleges and schools
So that would be
where we could go and maybe create internship for students
Okay.
who are in the media technical field to help out. And there's also, you know, donations. You need money to do a lot of things. So hopefully this plan will really help the Anytime story create a story to ask for the assistance that they need to improve the show and keep the show going, because it's very important to educate the public and put a stop to the crime of human trafficking. So,
Thank you. Does anybody have anything to add on to that?
Thank you for letting us come on your show.
Yeah, thank you.
It's your show too. It's not just my show. It's everybody's show, because human trafficking is something that affects everybody around the world. And I'm glad you guys were here when you heard the other people talking about the issues in their countries. And sometimes your neighbor could be a victim without you knowing. You know, the domestic, you know, servants in the house, and sometimes it's not even a servant, it's a spouse that is being trafficked. So I really commend your efforts, and I thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank
God
you.
bless
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, thank you.
and I also want to say thanks to the students for their courage in picking this project.
Yes.
Like I said, I was very worried that they would not think it's, they would think it's something they don't want to do, but I've been very encouraged and just in awe at, their commitment and their dedication. So thanks, guys, and it's been great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And say thank you to Rami, right?
Mhm.
For us, we miss him tonight.
All right,
We'll
will
let 'em
do.
know.
Thanks.
Can you believe they took all of them? All these kids, just for the wants and the needs. I pray for the souls.
Hi, my name is Jaden. I am with the Kids Against Trafficking segment. And this is a flag from Yaoundé, Novala School, and it's of Cameroon. Kids, send in your flags of your country.
Help me out. They took me away from my life, my family. I'm stuck as a slave in the dust of everything I've ever known in my life, my life. I've just found this place I'll go to. Heaven is where I go on my days and nights. Help me get out of this place I live. I can't be here anymore. All these people are just walking on eggshells, wanna burst down the door. I'm just stuck in this house I live. Can't get out of this place. Gotta just get up out of this. And now I just don't wanna live. I'm just stuck where I live. All these people keep on trafficking of me all around. There's a place that's just slavery. I said, help me. I said, help me. I said, help me breathe just again and again. I can't even live in this place anymore. Gotta give my soul up to my Father God, 'cause I cannot live on this place they call the world wide. I can't believe in this whole little world that we are a trafficking of boys and of girls. All these are things just going on, just to look up to the sky and pray. That's what I'm doing. Can't I live in this place anymore? I live trafficking of me. I gotta give myself up to my Father. I know, give myself up to my mother. I know. What am I supposed to do? They shut the door and now I'm trafficked all around this world. Can you believe that they took me from home? Can trafficked my whole life.
We light this candle in honor of victims who have lost their lives as a result of human trafficking, and we hope that their soul rests in perfect peace.
Imprisoned Show.
That is it for now. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I want to use this opportunity to thank every one of you out there for watching Imprisoned Show. Either you are watching it in the comfort of your home, or at work, or on the internet. We want to say a very big thank you. And also, we want to encourage you to keep watching and look around in your neighborhood. Be a part of this work by educating your loved ones about human trafficking. We will see you next time. God bless you, and bye-bye.
They took me from my home when I was just so young. I don't know who I am. I'm supposed to be your son. All they do is just treat me so bad. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I wanna live my life and live it forever, but they keep on bringing me back to this place. They trafficking me. They trafficking me all around this world. Wanted to talk to God today to say, help me get up out of this place you made. I can't believe you put me in this situation, but I know you can move mountains for me. Oh, this a house that I live my whole life. I don't don't wanna be here no more. They keep on just trafficking me and just don't wanna walk out the door. Help me get up out of this place. I just don't wanna live in this house no more. Trafficking me around the whole wide world. I feel like I'm a slave in this modern time. It's 2013. I just don't know how this world could be this way anymore. They're just trafficking little boys and girls all around the whole wide world, yeah. Just trying to tell a story to you now about my whole life and how they took me from my home and put me in